So, you want to know how to be happy alone at home? Let me tell you, discovering how to be happy alone at home was the exact breakthrough that flipped my world upside down. Most people think happiness only happens when you're surrounded by others, family, friends, partners, noise, and constant plans. But here's the raw truth. Some of the most fulfilled people you'll ever meet learned the secret of how to enjoy being alone. Sounds strange, right? Society keeps selling us the idea that being alone equals loneliness. But what if I told you that learning how to be happy alone can actually become the biggest breakthrough of your life? Think about it. Have you ever sat at home, scrolling endlessly on your phone, feeling that emptiness in your chest? That little voice saying, "Why am I like this? Why can't I just be happy alone?" Trust me, I've been there. That spiral of overthinking, the constant need for distraction, the sense that time is slipping away without meaning, it can make anyone feel trapped. But here's where it gets interesting. The same four walls that feel like a prison can also become the walls of your personal sanctuary, the place where you finally learn how to love yourself and unlock real self-love motivation. And I know what you might be thinking. Okay, but how do I actually do that? How do I stop feeling lonely without just pretending? That's exactly what this video is about. I'm going to share with you the life-changing breakthrough that showed me how to find happiness within. It's not about toxic positivity, and it's not about ignoring your emotions. It's about discovering ways to improve mental clarity, taking control of your thoughts, and stepping into a self-awareness journey that will completely change the way you see yourself and your life. So, buckle up, because what you're about to hear isn't just another piece of advice. It might just be the best shift you've ever made for your own happiness. Understanding the difference between being alone and feeling lonely. Here's the tricky part. People often confuse being alone with feeling lonely, but they're not the same thing. Loneliness feels like a void, a craving for connection that isn't met. Being alone, on the other hand, can actually be empowering if you know how to be happy alone at home. Imagine choosing to spend a Friday night at home, not because no one invited you out, but because you genuinely wanted time for yourself. That shift in perspective is where the seeds of personal growth therapy start to sprout. When someone learns how to enjoy being alone, it's like discovering a hidden treasure chest inside their own life. They begin to notice the little things, the peace of sipping coffee slowly, the joy of cooking their favorite meal without rushing, or the clarity that comes when they finally hear their own thoughts. It's in those quiet moments that people step into the beginning of a self-awareness journey. This is where self-respect and self-love start to take root, not because someone else validates them, but because they learn to validate themselves. But let's be real. Rewiring your mind to see solitude as freedom instead of punishment takes practice. One practical way to start is by setting aside just 30 minutes a day with no TV, no phone, no noise, just you. Write in a journal, meditate, or simply sit with your thoughts. At first, it may feel uncomfortable, almost unbearable, but over time, you'll notice your emotional intelligence sharpening. You'll start to see that this practice isn't about being cut off from the world. It's about building the foundation for how to stop feeling lonely and creating space for your own self-improvement therapy. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Turning your home into a sanctuary for growth. Once someone understands the difference between being alone and being lonely, the next step is transforming their home into more than just a place to eat and sleep. Home can be the perfect training ground for how to be happy alone at home. Think of it as a personal sanctuary, a space designed not only for comfort, but also for personal growth therapy. When you intentionally shape your environment, every corner can remind you of your self-awareness journey. For example, setting up a cozy reading nook with books like The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle or Atomic Habits by James Clear can ignite powerful insights on self-love motivation. A kitchen counter that's always cluttered with junk food can be switched into a space for nourishing recipes that fuel both body and mind. Even small actions, like placing a journal on your nightstand, become visual cues that whisper, "This is how to find happiness within." The goal isn't to make your home look like a magazine, but to make it reflect the life you want to live. And here's the fun part. When someone takes control of their environment, they begin to feel like they're taking control of their life. That's one of the best pieces of advice for life. Control what you can, starting with your space. Imagine lighting a candle, playing calming music, and spending the evening writing instead of scrolling. Suddenly, Those walls that once felt confining now support your self-respect and self-love. By designing your home intentionally, you'll see how even the smallest changes can become anchors for overcoming loneliness motivation. And that's just the beginning of creating a space that works for you instead of against you. Building routines that strengthen the mind and heart. A sanctuary without structure can still feel empty, which is why routines matter so much. People often overlook this, but having daily rituals is one of the most effective ways to master how to be happy alone at home. A routine isn't about living like a robot, it's about creating rhythms that support self-improvement therapy. Think of it like music. Without rhythm, even the best notes sound like noise. Structure brings harmony. Let's say someone starts their morning with 10 minutes of meditation, a glass of water, and a few lines in their journal. That's not just a healthy habit, it's training the mind to find peace and clarity. These are simple ways to stop overthinking everything and to boost mental clarity. Later in the day, they could dedicate 20 minutes to reading something that feeds their personal growth, like Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. Each of these routines is like a deposit into the bank account of self-love motivation. And here's the beauty: consistency compounds. The more one repeats these small but intentional actions, the stronger their inner resilience becomes. Over time, they realize they're not just learning how to enjoy being alone, they're learning how to get control of my life. These routines create confidence and stability, especially when emotions get rough. Think of them as invisible anchors. Whenever loneliness knocks, the rituals hold you steady. And when those routines align with your vision, they do more than stop loneliness. They open the door to the next level of personal growth mindset. Discovering joy in small, meaningful activities. Now that routines are in place, the next step is learning how to truly enjoy them. Too often, people overlook the little things that could spark happiness right at home. The trick to how to be happy alone at home lies in embracing small activities that carry big meaning. When someone learns how to enjoy life again after depression, it doesn't come from one giant breakthrough. It comes from a series of small joys stacked together. Think about it. Cooking a colorful meal while listening to your favorite playlist, trying a new hobby like sketching or gardening, or even dancing in your living room like nobody's watching. These aren't just distractions, they're practices that teach how to find happiness within. For someone on a self-awareness journey, those little sparks of joy reinforce self-respect and self-love. It's about shifting from "I'm just passing time" to "I'm savoring this moment." And here's a practical tip: make a joy list. Write down 10 small activities that make you smile, anything from painting to calling an old friend. Whenever loneliness creeps in, pull from that list instead of reaching for social media. This creates a toolbox for overcoming loneliness motivation. Over time, these small wins rewire the brain to see solitude not as emptiness, but as opportunity. And the more those moments add up, the more one begins to feel that elusive answer to how to be happy now. But these small joys lead to something even bigger: the courage to chase deeper passions that transform a life completely. Using solitude to redefine your identity and purpose. At this stage, solitude isn't scary anymore, it's sacred. This is where someone begins to realize that how to be happy alone at home is really a gateway to something deeper, redefining who they are and what they stand for. When the noise of the world fades, they finally have the space to ask big questions. Who am I without all the labels? What kind of life do I actually want? These questions are at the core of any real self-awareness journey and personal growth mindset. Solitude gives a person the rare chance to listen to their own voice without the pressure of expectations. It's in this quiet that they discover their core values, reignite old dreams, or even build new ones. Someone might pick up a notebook and write a personal mission statement. Others may realize they've always wanted to start a YouTube channel, learn an instrument, or launch a side hustle. This isn't just about bettering yourself tips, it's about crafting a life with purpose. That's one of the best pieces of advice for life. Use solitude to design, not just survive. And here's the kicker. Once someone steps into this phase, they no longer feel like they're stuck at home. They feel like they're in a laboratory for self-development. The very act of being alone becomes a tool for transformation. Instead of fearing the silence, they lean into it. They start to see that solitude was never the enemy. It was the mentor they needed all along. And that's the real life-changing breakthrough: learning how to get control of my life by first mastering the art of being alone. And now that all the pieces are on the table. So here's the truth. Learning how to be happy alone at home isn't about shutting the world out. It's about finally letting yourself in. You've seen how solitude can shift from loneliness to sanctuary, from empty time to meaningful routines, from small joys to a renewed sense of purpose. But none of this matters unless you apply it. The question now is, will you? Ask yourself, what's one small action you can take today to start this self-awareness journey? Will you create a routine that strengthens your heart and mind? Will you write down your joy list and commit to doing one thing from it every day? Or will you take the leap into discovering your deeper purpose? Don't just nod and move on. Pick something. Because the only way to truly master how to enjoy being alone is to practice it, moment by moment. And here's my challenge to you. If this resonated, don't just keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs this self-love motivation. And of course, if you're serious about personal growth therapy and unlocking the best pieces of advice for life, then hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. This channel is here to guide you through raw self-help advice, breakthroughs, and ways to stop overthinking everything. Your life can change, but only if you decide to change it. So, are you ready to step into your own breakthrough?